I got a platform. The haters can't stop me from having a platform. I'm going to continue to have a platform, and I'm going to continue to stay persistent. Now we're going to talk about Rashida Tlaib. Let's go.
Illuminati is a thing you need to watch out for. They want to depopulate and slave us so much more. World domination, I'll get into that later. I'm hardcore, fierce and sexy. You're just a hater. You deserve the ridicule because you're an absolute zero. I'm the keeper of the chalice, a rock and roll hero. I'm not an idiot nobody listens to, because I'm not a failure in life like you. Let's talk about Bill Gates and the mark of the beast, and the orgies in the streets at the Catholic feasts, and Bill and Hillary's human trafficking ring, and George Soros got the money to pay for everything. Socialism is for losers, working for the devil, chumps that can't fight, they ain't on my level. It takes an evil one to try to debunk and doubt it, so I'd rather die than stop talking about it. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out for the Illuminati.
You're watching the MC Too Tall show, and I'm MC Too Tall. Rashida Tlaib. We're going to talk about Rashida Tlaib right now. Rashida Tlaib. Rashida Tlaib. So, reliable source has said that Rashida Tlaib is actually calling for the uprising of Hamas on U.S. soil to fight U.S. military and federal law enforcement. U.S. military and federal law enforcement. Okay, so that is a call for terrorism and a call for treason. Two things at once. She is ripping a page right out of the Travis Kelce playbook. Two things at once. Terrorism and treason. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. When you practice like Tlaib. And she's out there making a total fool of herself, displaying herself as a monster. A terror cell, if you will, right in the U.S. Congress. And there are people calling for her to resign. There are people calling for her resignation. Another congresswoman called for a resignation. I forget which, but there's a congressman, Buddy Carter, that's actually calling for her censure on this. Now, she made these bold statements September 2nd. They made headlines September 3rd. Got to me today, September 27th. No censuring done since. Rashida Tlaib has not been censured. And what she's done is even worse than what Adam Schiff did. And what Adam Schiff did was pretty bad when he was still in Congress. He received a prank call from a person with a fake Russian accent claiming that he had naked pictures of Donald Trump. And he believed it. He actually took it in as fact and believed it. He thought this was a lead that would have surely gotten him to reel in Donald Trump. And it proved to be fake. It was an obvious fake call. And he got caught out there with it and got censured for it. Since then, the state of California chose to be nice to him and vote for him over a true American patriot and a man that loved baseball to become U.S. Senator. And meanwhile, he had an opponent that was more deserving of that U.S. Senate seat in California than Adam Schiff. But this Rashida Tlaib situation is even worse than Adam Schiff accepting a prank call as factual and actual. She is calling for Hamas to rise up in the U.S. against U.S. military and federal law enforcement. If that doesn't have both treason and terrorism written all over it, I don't know what does. This is a person that should be removed from Congress, and she should be in jail. She's acting like a terror cell in U.S. Congress. And something's got to be done about this. Rashida Tlaib must be stopped. Because we got this culmination of the weird gender ideology thing mixed in with other sorts of identity politics, mixed in with socialism, mixed in with jihadi terrorism, and they all have one common enemy, which is basically everything I stand for. The common enemy of all this shit, and it is shit, is everything that I stand for. You know, I stand on the John Cranston way of Christianity, capitalism, conservatism. And this big bowl of shit stands for the opposite. So, everything that makes America the place to be, and this beautiful mosaic and melting pot of every culture around the world where everybody has a fair shake based on merit, or should at least, that believes in American sovereignty rather than globalism, is the common enemy of all these different hate groups. And these are hate groups. And Rashida Tlaib is for all the hate groups that are against the American way. And what we've come to know as the American way, what most of us in Gen X have been raised to believe is the American way. Equality, everybody getting a fair share, the right to vote for our representation in a peaceful transition of power. They are against this. They're against the sovereignty of all nations because they're looking for a one-world totalitarian socialist government with no borders, no guns, no God, no gold. Looking to put two to your head if you don't fit the mold. And that's where the problem lies. These people are just pawns for the Illuminati. And let me say this again. Let me tell you this again. It is right versus wrong, good versus evil, God versus the devil, and Donald Trump versus the Illuminati. There is the machine that doesn't care who or what you are. They want to screw you over so they could get ahead and rule over the entire world. And then one man and his small team opposed to that. And that man's name is Donald Trump. Donald Trump's not part of the machine. He is opposed to the machine, and he happens to have wiggled into a position that the machine didn't want him to wiggle in, which is the presidency of the United States. So, you know it's not politics as usual with Donald Trump. And it's not something worse than politics as usual with Donald Trump. The closest thing we got to worse than politics as usual, 2 times. The 8 years with George W. Bush and the 4 years with Joe Biden. But Clinton was politics as usual. Obama was politics as usual. Had Hillary Clinton won, that would have been politics as usual. But make no mistake, we got something better than politics as usual right now, and that's Donald Trump holding the presidency of the United States. And there have been great improvements in the short time that he's been back in the White House. And they don't like this. And that's why they're doing a call to arms against their own country. Rashida Tlaib is not looking out for the best interest of her constituents. Her constituents are supposed to be all people of all religions, all colors within her congressional district in Michigan. But no, she is calling for Hamas to rise up and fight against federal law enforcement and U.S. military. This is appalling, this is despicable, disgraceful, and disgusting. If she does not resign from office, she should be removed from office. Did you know the presidency of the United States is not the only office from which one can be impeached? You could be impeached from legislative and judicial offices as well. You can be impeached from cabinet positions. A congresswoman, such as Rashida Tlaib, spewing all her terrorism and treason, can be impeached. No one is above the law. No one is immune to impeachment. Hell, that famous whirlwind speech that Senator Schumer shouted out to the high heavens. He could have been impeached for that. But here we are. He's still in office. He's up for re-election next year, though. I hope we get somebody stronger than the person that went up against Gillibrand. I was backing that person when he ran against Gillibrand, but he didn't run a strong enough campaign, in my opinion. And I hope he doesn't throw his hat back in the ring to go against Schumer, because if Schumer's not primaried out by AOC, I'm afraid to say Schumer will chew him up and spit him out. If he could lose to an absentee senator like Kirsten Gillibrand, he doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell against Chuck Schumer. Because as radicalized as Chuck Schumer may have become, and all the hatred he may be spewing towards anything right of center, he is a loud voice, and there are some radical assholes that still like him, but would still vote for AOC if she ran against him for the Democratic nomination. It'll be an interesting find if she throws her hat in the ring to run against Schumer. And we shall see, we shall see, we shall see, as the old cliche goes. But in the meantime, we await for Congress, Senate, whoever's in charge of impeaching a member of Congress to grow some brass in the trousers there, so to speak, and make a motion for impeachment of Rashida Tlaib. There's already a motion for censure that's going completely ignored. So I doubt there'll be any motion at all for impeachment, but one can only hope. This concludes this episode of the MC Too Tall Show. And remember, respect God, watch out for the Illuminati, like, follow, share, comment, subscribe, stay strong, keep kicking that slang. It's your boy in the building, hip-hop legend, recording engineer, underground rock and roll hero, MC Too Tall. And be safe out there, yeah?